Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Shake Sales. I'm your host, Maggie Bloom, the sales evangelist at Mailshake. And today we have a very special guest, Mark Ackers. He is a sales director at Allego for the European market. So Mark, thanks so much for being here. Why don't you take some time to introduce yourself?
Hi, Maggie. Yeah, delighted to be on. It's great to see you again. I always struggle with how to introduce myself. So what would be helpful for people to know, I suppose? I've been in sales for over 10 years, and I say it like that to sort of hide my age. It's probably closer to 15. As you say, I'm currently in a sales leadership role for Allego here in Europe. Along with sales, I do private coaching for companies like Trainio, Sales Impact Academy. I'm one of the authors behind the #1 bestseller, Problem Prospecting, as well. And yeah, that's me. If there's anything else, then ask away. But that's why.
Perfect introduction. I feel the same way with these because you're going to be asked questions that will probably start introducing yourself later on. So cool. And that brings me to the topic today. I know Mark introduced a little bit about himself as a sales coach. He's co-written a book and, talks a lot about sales. I'd like to say that the both of us are kind of like this triple threat in sales. We're salespeople talking about sales software to other salespeople. So we talk about sales all day long, and you take that even a step further because it's sales coaching. So you're a sales leader, you do sales coaching, you sell a coaching software, and you've probably been coached before, just like all of us. But that just brings me into my first question. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey with coaching, like where it all began, the first time you ever got coached up until, where you're at today?
Yeah, so it might surprise people to say that coaching didn't happen for me. If I split my career into thirds, 5 years, 5 years, and 5 years, I didn't get coaching until the final third. I say final, I hope it's not the final third of my career, but the last third of my career is when I started getting coaching. The first 10 years, I don't think it's unfair to say I got by on the fact that I could communicate with people at different levels and I could have a conversation. And I think that come from having a strong cold calling background. So I was comfortable talking to people, and I've had jobs in the past where I was customer facing. But the first 10 years of my career, I got by with hard work. And I think that needs to be said. I can look anybody in the eye and say I worked really hard for those 10 years. But equally, I could communicate with people, and I had a level of intelligence. I'll let other people decide what level that is. But I never had any coaching. I had the odd bit of training, but I've never been formally trained in like a sales methodology or process. It was one-off bits of training here and there. In terms of sales coaching, it really started, as I say, about 5 years ago. I worked for a company called Refract that were acquired by Allego. Refract was a conversation intelligence platform that was designed for managers to be able to review and listen to and coach customer-facing sales conversations. Mm-hmm. And about 6 months into my time there, the boss thought, I should probably use this internally, right? Because you can all be guilty of that, of not using your own product to its full. So I remember we met one Friday morning. He said, I want to meet you at Costa Coffee. Starbucks, for those in America, our version. So I met him at Costa Coffee. It was like 8 o'clock on a Friday morning. I remember my wife saying, where are you going? I was like, off to go and get some coaching with Kev. And it was a bit like, what's that? And I was like, I don't really know. Go through one of my calls. I was nervous. I know that. I was nervous. And I remember I got into the coffee shop, and I remember him saying this to me, you're a big boy. I've coached this like you're a big boy. Don't take it personally. And I remember that moment feeling a bit uneasy on the chair.
Yeah.
We went through the call, and it was really hard. It was really hard because that's my career. That's what I've done for 10 years. Mm-hmm. This is what I rely on to pay my bills. This is what I say I do for a living. And this was the CEO of the business as well. So his opinion, quite important, really beat me up. really, and I think there was a lesson for him as well. Like it was his first time coaching, and side rant. When you coach a conversation, what is really difficult is to not pick every moment.
Okay.
Because you're listening to it. Say you're listening to an hour-long demo, and you hear a moment on 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 12 minutes. You don't go, well, I'll just leave that one because I'll see what comes up. You actually think, why wouldn't I give feedback on what I've just heard?
Yeah.
And it's hard to do. It's hard to leave that. And I know people talk about coaching like you should just give free things. But as I say, when you're working for a call, you hear things you want to provide. Because why wouldn't you want to provide helpful critiques and praise and whatnot?
In that moment.
Yeah, exactly, right? It feels weird to leave it.
Yeah.
So he really coached it. There was lots of feedback. And I remember just feeling like each one was a blow to a blow to a blow. And I remember that there was a point where I had water in the back of my eye. I felt really like, wow, this is tough.
Yeah.
And then he said, we'll do this again next Friday. And I remember thinking, bloody hope not. I really hope not. But what I can say to you, Maggie, is very quickly, one of the things I feel like I'm good at is I feel like I'm a fast learner. And one of the things I started to do immediately that Friday and the following week was start to put into practice some of the things that he'd given me feedback on. And I did that for a few reasons. One, I thought it was a good idea. Two, I thought, well, if we're going to do this again, I want to show that I've actioned this. And I remember we did this for like a year.
Wow.
I remember there was a point of like 6 months. It was a really good session. And he said to me, I just want you to know, Mark, like I'm still coaching these calls like you're a big boy, but this is how much better you've got. And from that moment, I craved it. I wanted that feedback. People that follow me on LinkedIn might have seen, like last year I was A of the year. I went on President's Club, and none of that would have happened if someone didn't physically take time out of their day to help me get better. And the company, I'd like to think, has certainly reaped the rewards of that by the revenue that I've generated and bought in on the back of it. But that's my coaching journey, and from there I've become like almost obsessed with it, and that's like self-learning as well as being coached and coaching. This weekend I had a rare weekend to myself. Like I think the first weekend to myself in years.
Yeah,
like, literally to myself. No one was around. I spent 5 hours watching a cold calling training.
Oh my God.
I loved it.
You're obsessed.
Yeah. I know that sounds really sad. I learned stuff. And straight away, like, I want to tell other people what I've learned and I want to share it. So I have become obsessed with that. And back to that triple whammy, people that are thinking I'm a bit nutty, sympathize with me. I sell to sales leaders. So immediately they judge me against themselves.
Of course.
And they're good. They're sales leaders. They judge me to their team, who they're proud of. It's their team. And then I'm trying to sell them a platform for coaching and developing their sales reps. So there's really no room for error with me. One of the things that'll happen is I'll know if I've done a good job or not because I'll get told. And from time to time, people tell me, that wasn't great. I don't like that question you asked. I know what you're doing. But then on the flip, I closed the deal last week. The email I got was, Mark, Allego, lucky to have you. You're a great consultative seller. I've used the recording internally so people get to watch how you should sell. So there's two sides to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's the cool part, and sometimes can be the part where we get a lot of feedback, is we sell to sales leaders. So yeah, they know what we're doing. They know our tricks or something. Not that there's any tricks involved, but that, there is. But yeah, they can see kind of through us and give us that feedback too. And like you said, when you do a good job, it feels good because you are hearing it from another sales leader out there that spends their day in that too. And it's so empowering, your story about coaching, because it's something where, you felt like you had tears in the back of your eyes when you first got it. And I feel like a lot of us feel that way when we're first like getting coached for real, or we're getting this feedback. And now it's something that you crave. Like you just spent the weekend alone watching videos about it. But I think that also says a lot about your personality as a salesperson, because you went into that coaching call with Kevin, I believe his name was, and you had been in sales already for a while, and to get that feedback like that. And I know, just from that, we've known each other before this, that, you're good at critiquing yourself, and giving yourself that feedback. But I know that there's reps out there that wouldn't feel the same way. They wouldn't go into that conversation after so many years of experience and hear this feedback. They may try to say that they're already good enough or too good to get coaching like this. So for you as a sales leader, how do you, and I'm sure you've probably had reps like this in the past that you've coached, how do you handle a rep that feels like they're already too good or they've had too much experience to get coaching like that?
Well, it's comedy, really, the concept of a sales professional thinking they're too experienced. There's a company called OMG, Objective Management Group, and they assessed over 2 million sales professionals, and they say only 6% are elite. Right?
Whoa.
That's 2 million people, only 6% are elite.
Oh my God.
I don't know about you, Maggie, but I don't think I've met any of those elite sales professionals.
No.
Of course they exist. I think, here's the thing, right? Sales, well, let's look at other careers. If you want to be a lawyer, 5 years. If you want to be a doctor, 7 years. If you want to be an accountant, 4 years. And even then, you're a junior.
Yeah.
I got a sales job overnight. No experience. I'm marketing. I'm from a marketing background, a marketing degree. All I ever did at college, university was marketing. And I literally got a sales job overnight because someone thought I had the, air quote, gift of the gab.
Yeah.
There's no barrier to entry, right? There's no qualification. Anybody really that can have a conversation and show a level of intelligence can get a sales job. But, and there's lots of different varieties of sales jobs, but anyone can get one, really. So to think that you're in a career there's no barrier to entry, that you're too experienced to be coached, is comedy. It is laughable because, again, tell me an athlete, Maggie, like a professional athlete that you know in your world.
Scottie Pippen.
So he's retired, right?
Yeah.
Tell me someone who's active right now.
Oh my gosh.
Best in the world stuff. Who springs to mind?
This is sad. I'm all thinking of retired people. You name someone.
Okay. Have you heard of Ronaldo, the footballer?
Yes.
Right. The guy's 37. He is broken almost every footballing record. When I say football, soccer, for those in America.
Yeah.
Do you think he is too experienced? Do you think he doesn't train? He doesn't have a coach? Absolutely not. And he has more than one. He'll have a conditioning coach. He'll have a physio. He'll have a shooting coach. He'll have a drill coach. Sorry for these notifications.
You're fine.
He'll have like 7 or 8 coaches, all that he works with to make him better. Right? And he's got his actual football coach. And it's the same for any professional sports star. They have coaches that work with them every day. Even if they've won gold medals, they've won championship titles. Same with doctors, same with lawyers. They'll have people that help them and hold them accountable. And to think in sales that you're too good for that, as I say, is comedy. If I ever work with someone that thinks that, I'll just say, okay, are you at 100% of target? Then that's fine. The second you're not, we'll start doing some coaching and we'll leave it there. And ultimately, right, you can't force it on some people don't want it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't want them in my team either.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a good point. It's, in athletes even, you made that comparison. I mean, they're starting like when they're kids to do this and they're still getting coaching and going through this. And yeah, you're right. Sales reps. I mean, my job, I studied marketing too, and then got a sales job overnight, like after 2 interviews, and started making cold calls a week into it. So I needed all the coaching I could get. And yeah, you're right. I think it's dependent on that attitude, which people hire for also. But I like what you say there is, when the moment you don't hit target, let me know, then we could start doing sales coaching there too. Because I think that's part of it. It's some of these reps that do hit target, that they're thinking in their heads, hey, I don't really need it because I'm hitting target here each time. Yeah. But cool. And I know, so when I met you, you were working at Refract, which got acquired by Allego, and it's a conversation intelligence tool, sales coaching software. And it's now becoming a norm, just like, Mailshake, people are implementing sales engagement softwares. And it's one of those, I wouldn't say checkbox, but, people bring it onto the team, and it's now really important that they have it, just like a CRM or a sales engagement tool. But sometimes you can still see teams that, hey, we know we need this in place, but they underutilize the tool. So I know, since you're in that world, where do you feel like you see managers underutilizing a conversation intelligence tool or a coaching software?
So you're right. It is table stakes stuff now. Like conversation intelligence, sales engagement platforms, Mailshake, etc. They are table stakes stuff. Where do I see people underuse? This is where it goes wrong. It goes wrong with the sales manager.
Okay.
Everybody knows coaching and developing your existing team is important. 74% of organizations rate it, like coaching, as a manager's number one priority. Most reps crave coaching, and they may not go, I want coaching, but here's what they want: progression, development. They want to feel like they're getting better, right? They might not use the word coaching, but no rep wants to earn less than what they earned last year, right? they want to improve and get better. There's countless studies that show you that coaching is the number one thing that will drive performance. Those coached are like 33% more likely to hit quota and can increase revenue by 7%. And remote and hybrid teams have only just expanded this problem. But here's the thing: despite all of this, most sales managers spend less than 5% of their time coaching. And I sympathize with that. If you're a sales manager, which I am, how many people do you think the average sales manager looks after, Maggie? Is it 5? Is it 8? Is it 15? It's around there, right? Typically it's between 8 and 15 people, right? Sales managers are really busy, okay? Each day is filled with urgent action items. The amount of times I wake up and I've got messages at 8 o'clock in the morning already of stuff that needs to get done, right? Recruitment, onboarding, forecasting, pipeline management, sales tools and tech stack, working with other teams. All of this is put onto a sales manager. And often, like myself, they've got their own quota to hit as well.
Yeah.
Right? So sales managers are really stretched. And conversation intelligence tools solve part of the problem. They show you where to spend your time. They show you what calls to listen to, what moments to listen to. But what they don't do is give you time, right? Managers will often do what's easiest, and they'll look at a dashboard, because a dashboard gives you data. It tells you activity. It tells you what's happened in the sense of if something's moved through the pipeline, etc. But it doesn't give you answers, okay? Right? How many reps do you think? How many deals have been closed, lost in a pipeline today in the world? Millions.
Yeah.
Right? How many do you think have been closed, lost by a sales rep for the reason of, I didn't do a good job, it was a weak discovery, I failed to unearth key information, we lost this competitor because people don't know they just put lost, no decision, ghosted, didn't hear back from them. And as sales managers, these problems roll uphill, because we'll go, we've lost all these deals because our price is too high, because of this competitor, because of whatever. And these problems roll uphill. And then all of a sudden in the boardroom, they're like, right, what do we need to do about pricing? What do we do about this competitor? Yeah. But actually, what the conversation intelligence tools does is helps a manager get the reality. But what they've got to do is invest that time. They've got to sit and listen to those calls. But the uncomfortable truth is it can always wait till tomorrow, because a sales day is filled with too many actionable items, and it's too easy to look at data and draw conclusions from data than it is to sit and listen to a recording. And that's the problem. Too many managers hope that the dashboard will give them the answer. They don't go into the actual conversations. it's a bit like, right, so who's the manager? You're a big Chicago Bulls fan, aren't you, Maggie, right? Who's the manager of the Chicago Bulls right now?
Oh my God. You're like pushing me with trivia here. I should know all this. I have no clue.
Right. Let's call him Ted Lasso.
Okay, perfect.
Right. Imagine if Ted Lasso just went, I'm not going to go to the games anymore. I'm quite busy. But what I'll do is I'll catch up with you all the next morning and see how you got on. Mm-hmm. The outrage. The manager should be there. They should be watching how the team play when they cross the line, how they get on, then putting those improvements in place the next game. But in sales, it's kind of like, so Maggie, tell me about this deal you've been working on. What's been happening? Yeah. And there's like top level rep opinion, rep bias that's going on. The coaches, the managers aren't turning up for the games because they don't make it a priority when they should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's and I think it's even harder and why these tools are, I mean, they're important to begin with, but even in a remote world where that sales manager is not sitting next to the rep, like how I was coached when I first got into sales. So I think it's definitely important to have that in there, and for managers to take the time to actually listen back to those calls and making that a part of your day too, because like you said, it can always feel like something that can wait till tomorrow when you have a laundry list of other things to do. But awesome. Mark, thanks so much for answering those questions, going through that and sharing some knowledge in the sales and coaching world. Before we finish up, where can people find you?
So LinkedIn's the best place to find me. So I'm on LinkedIn. It's just Mark Ackers, Mark with a K, M-A-R-K, Ackers, A-C-K-E-R-S. Try and write and share daily content that people in sales, all the way from SDRs up to sales leadership, will find interesting. That's the best place to find me. Or my book is on Amazon, Problem Prospecting. Happy to connect with anybody that listens to this.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. And thanks for everyone listening to another episode of Shake Sales. Have a good one.